Today, we're going to review a news article from the BBC together to help you improve all areas of your English. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Let's review the headline together. 7-year-old, you see him right here in the picture, 7-year-old gets job offer from Russian IT firm. Now, this is a headline, so articles and auxiliary verbs are omitted to make the headline as short as possible, and this is accepted even in formal situations. However, if you were to write this as a sentence, a regular sentence, there are 3 articles missing. Do you know where the articles need to go grammatically? Well, let's review this together. 7-year-old. Notice how there are dashes between this, and you might notice that there's no S on year. So this is because it's an adjective and it describes the boy. Technically, the word boy is missing, or you could say boy, child, 7-year-old boy, 7-year-old child, for example. But because boy is your noun, child is your noun, 7-year-old is the adjective that describes the boy, we need an article at the very beginning. And you would say a 7-year-old boy, or a 7-year-old child. So that is one article. Do you know where the next article is needed? A 7-year-old boy gets, well, job offer is a noun. It's a something. And as the general rule, we need an article in front of nouns, singular nouns, unless it's an exception and an uncountable noun. But in this case, it is not. A job offer, because it's not a specific job offer, it's just any job offer. Now, our final article missing, from Russian IT firm. Well, here, firm, which is another way of saying company, is our noun. Russian and IT describe what type of company. But if we got rid of Russian and IT, gets a job offer from firm, from a firm. Now, we're also using a because it's not a specific firm, it's just a firm. A Russian IT firm. If we said the Russian IT firm, it would mean we were specifying a specific one. But at this point in the article, we are not. So these are the 3 articles that are missing grammatically if you were to write this as a full sentence. But remember, as a headline, it is acceptable to omit the articles and auxiliary verbs, which we don't have here, to make it as short as possible. Don't worry about taking notes because I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Let's continue and learn about this job offer. A Russian software company. So notice how, because we're in the full article now, we need to add those articles and auxiliary verbs as well. So a 7-year-old, a Russian software company. And notice here they're using the word company, which we already learned is a replacement to firm. Often firm is used when consulting services are provided. For example, you hear this a lot with law firm. They offer their consulting as a service. But you could say law company, although in North America that is not common. It's almost exclusively called a law firm. Outside of a law firm, most of the time you could say firm or company like we have here, and there is no difference in meaning, and they both sound commonly used. A Russian software company has invited a 7-year-old coding prodigy. So remember, this is an adjective that describes, in this case, coding prodigy, but you could replace this with the word boy who is a coding prodigy, boy who is 7 years old. So you would add that as if you were using it to describe his age, a boy who is 7 years old. But in this case, it's an adjective, so we don't add that S. Let's continue. To join its management team. All right, 7 years old, and he has a job offer for a management position. As soon as he is old enough to take up paid employment. In this case, if you take up paid employment, it means you accept it. You accept it. But we also use the phrasal verb to take up with hobbies and activities to mean you start doing that hobby or activity. So in this case, you could think of it as to start doing that job. So if you take up coding as a hobby, you start learning or doing coding. And of course, remember, take is your verb, so you need to conjugate that. If you say, I took up coding, of course, that's in the past simple. You started coding as a new hobby or activity. Sergey from the Russian city of St. Petersburg has built a name for himself. Often we replace built a name with made, has made a name for himself, uploading videos that explain how to write software since he was 5. And if you build or make a name for yourself, you would need to change this depending on who the subject is. It means you become well known for something, so you're regarded as an expert. So hopefully I could say Jennifer has built, has made. Remember, both verbs are possible. This is conjugated in the present perfect. So that's why you have the third form of the verb. You could put this in the past simple as well. Jennifer has built a name for herself as a great teacher. Do you agree with that? If you do, put that's right in the comments. Now, I could put this in the present continuous to say it's an action in progress. Jennifer is making, Jennifer is building a name for herself as a great teacher. So again, put that's right if you agree with this in the comments. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. On the strength of those videos, remember the videos are the ones he posted on YouTube of himself coding. Notice this phrase here, on the strength of, and then something, those videos. Another way of saying this would be because those videos were successful or well done, well regarded, influential, because those videos were because those videos is plural. So you could say on the strength of something. This is the more everyday way of saying it, and this sounds a little more formal. On the strength of those videos, the information security firm, so here again, they're using the word firm instead of company, but it means the same thing, firm, Pro32. So this is the name of the company, sent him, the 7-year-old coding prodigy, the 7-year-old boy, a written job offer for the post of head of corporate training. Wow, a management position at 7 years old. In North America, the standard term would be position instead of post for the position of, but post is understood. It's just the choice in British English. For the position, for the post of, in either case, you need this of, and then you state the position or post in British English. For the position of head of corporate training. Under Russian law, Sergey, the name of the boy, the 7-year-old boy, Sergey would not be able to take up any paid role until he is 14. So notice here, this is our adjective phrase. So the age describes him as a phrase. Now, if you were to write the full form, you would say years old, and then years would have the S because it's more than one. But it's completely acceptable and extremely common to just use the number to describe age rather than saying years old. If you say years, you must also say the word old. It is not optional. You must use both words, or you can just use the number. Now notice here we have until. Now this is in the future, but notice we use the present simple. And I see a lot of mistakes with this, so let's just quickly review this. You could say, I can't get a promotion until I improve. So the present simple for your verb improve, even though that is a future action, we use it in the present simple after until. Until I improve my English. You could also use your English as the subject after until. I can't get a promotion until my English is better. So this is your present simple, is better. You could also say until my English improves, and then you would add that S because again, it's in the present simple with until when you're using it in a future reference. But Pro 32, remember, this is the name of the company, the firm, the IT company, the IT firm, but Pro 32's chief executive. So this is possessive. The chief executive belongs to Pro 32. But Pro 32's chief executive, Igor Mandik, told the BBC World Service he had spoken to Sergey's parents about finding ways to collaborate in the meantime. Okay, so what time is the meantime? Is between now, when he is 7 years old, and in the future, when he is 14 years old. So that period of time is in the meantime until he is legally allowed to work, and they're going to find ways to collaborate. So collaborate means work together. Now, it can't be in an official paid capacity because that is illegal under Russian law. So notice that preposition, illegal under Russian law. And if you want to replace collaborate with another word, remember that it's work together. The preposition that you need is together. And then in the belongs to the phrase meantime, in the meantime. So all three of these would still be together. Work together in the meantime. His father, Kirill, was surprised and said that they were really happy and looking forward to when Sergey would be able to join the company, Mr. Mandik said. Okay, so notice here, and looking forward to, this preposition to belongs to the phrase to look forward to something. Now, in this case, the something is when Sergey would be able to join the company. This is the something. If you have a verb that follows, you need your verb in the ing because this preposition belongs to the phrase to, and we use the verb in ing, the gerund, after prepositions. So with a verb, you could say, I'm looking forward to joining the company when I'm 14. So when in a future context also requires the present simple. When I am 14. And then remember, you could add years old. It's optional. And if you do, you have to add that S on years. And you must also use the word old. I'm looking forward to joining the company. I'm looking forward to meeting you. I'm looking forward to watching, seeing, hearing, listening, whatever your verb is. Now, you could also look forward to something and have a noun. I'm looking forward to your next video. Your next video. Or you could put the action, which would be watching. I'm looking forward to watching your next video. So hopefully you're thinking this right now. Wow, this is such a great way to learn English. I'm looking forward to watching your next Learn English with the News video. So if that describes you, put that's right in the comments. On his video, Sergey appears fresh-faced. So fresh-faced is an adjective that could mean youthful, or it could also mean just very energetic or fresh. For example, at the end of the day, I probably will not look fresh-faced. My makeup will be a little smeared. Maybe my eyes will have some bags under them. My hair won't be as nice. But right in the morning, right after I do my makeup, I look fresh-faced. So hopefully I look youthful, but if not, it could still mean just fresh for the day. So he appears fresh-faced and smiling enthusiastically, speaking in Russian and sometimes in English as a 7-year-old, very talented. Sometimes in English, he goes through coding challenges step by step. Step by step. This is a great binomial pair, which a binomial pair is two words that are joined together by a preposition. In this case, the preposition is by. So if you do something step by step, it means gradually or incrementally. So right now we're going through this article step by step. We're going through it gradually and incrementally. His YouTube channel has more than 3,500. You could say 3,500 or 3,500. There's absolutely no difference. I change between them for no reason at all. Both are accepted and it does not matter what you use. So whatever is easiest for you. 3,500. There's no need to vocalize and. 3,500. You don't need that and. 3,500. 3,500 because 2 zeros represents 100. So I wrote down how you would say them, and notice nothing is plural here. There's no S on 100, for example, because the S is on the noun, which is subscribers. So this is where you find your S, not on the number. His YouTube channel has more than 3,500 subscribers. Interested in. So this is another expression where in is a preposition that belongs to the expression to be interested in. The auxiliary verb is not needed because the subject is not identified here. Interested in learning. So this is why our verb is in ing, because this preposition belongs to the phrase. If you were to say this as a sentence, you could say his subscribers are, because it's to be interested in. So you would add that auxiliary verb are because subscribers is plural. Are interested in learning programming languages, and then the two programming languages, Python and Unity, or who want to hear more about neural networks, which underlie many artificial intelligence tools. Let's review underlie. This is a verb, to underlie. And if you say something underlies something else, you're saying it's the foundation of that something or the basis of. You can think of it as a core part of. So let's look at learning English. You could say understanding grammar rules. This is your subject using a gerund verb, understanding grammar rules. Now, this is conjugated as it or this. This, your ability to understand grammar rules, underlies. That's why we have it in the S, because the subject as the gerund is it, third person singular, underlies the ability to speak English fluently. And that's why, in addition to learning vocabulary, you're learning it in context and you're learning the grammar of how to use it, or else you won't be able to speak the language fluently. So there's a practical example of how to use the verb to underlie. Sergey's father told the BBC that his son got into coding. So if you get into something, it means that it's when you start your interest in that subject, because we use the verb get as a transitional verb. So when you get into something, it's that transition from not being into, in the sense of not having an interest in, to being into, interested in. So that's that verb get, from not to. So someone might ask me, how did you get into teaching? How did you get into teaching? This is the same as how did you first become interested in teaching? How did you get into teaching? Sergey's father told the BBC that his son got into coding, first became interested in coding when observing his older sister learning about programming. At first, we studied the material together with the children. Okay, so this is the parent. We, as the parents, we studied the material together with the children to explain the basic principles to them. After a month, our help was no longer needed. And after 2 months, it's obvious that what our time period is, so you don't have to repeat it. And after 2, Sergey was so carried away that he overtook everyone, he said. First, let's take a look at carried away. Notice here the auxiliary verb is to be. Sergey was so carried away. This is also commonly used with the verb get, again, as that transition from not carried away to carried away. What does this mean? If you get carried away by something, it means you're so overly enthusiastic, overly passionate, overly interested that you do more than needed, wanted, or expected. So if you get carried away with learning phrasal verbs, instead of studying for 1 hour, you might study for 12 hours, but then neglect all your other responsibilities because you got so carried away. So it's actually a negative thing. It means too enthusiastic or too absorbed, where all your interest, attention, time, energy goes into this one thing. This is funny because my friend just used this example with me. She told me that she took up jewelry making. So she started a new activity, hobby, which is jewelry making her own jewelry. And then she said, but I got a little carried away. So she became too passionate, too absorbed by this hobby. And she told me that she bought over 2,000 beads, which can make hundreds of bracelets. She's making bracelets. So that could make hundreds of bracelets, which she does not need to make hundreds of bracelets. So she got a little carried away. Okay, so Sergey was so carried away that he overtook everyone. Let's take a look at the verb to overtake, and then this is conjugated in the past simple, overtook. This means to surpass. So remember, Sergey and his sister, or the parents as well, were at the same level of knowledge or skill with coding, but then Sergey got carried away. He spent all of his time learning and coding, and then he overtook. So he surpassed. He moved ahead of the others in terms of skill, knowledge, or results, or all three. So this is commonly used in a competitive atmosphere. A business might say, we overtook the competition. We surpassed the competition. And most likely this could be in results. And that's the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. 7-year-old gets job offer from Russian IT firm. A Russian software company has invited a 7-year-old coding prodigy to join its management team as soon as he is old enough to take up paid employment. Sergey from the Russian city of St. Petersburg has built a name for himself, uploading videos that explain how to write software since he was 5. On the strength of those videos, the information security firm Pro32 sent him a written job offer for the post of head of corporate training. Under Russian law, Sergey would not be able to take up any paid role until he is 14. But Pro32's chief executive Igor Mandik told the BBC World Service he had spoken to Sergey's parents about finding ways to collaborate in the meantime. His father, Kirill, was surprised and said that they were really happy and looking forward to when Sergey would be able to join the company, Mr. Mandik said. On his video, Sergey appears fresh-faced and smiling enthusiastically. Speaking in Russian and sometimes in English, he goes through coding challenges step by step. His YouTube channel has more than 3,500 subscribers interested in learning programming languages, Python and Unity, or who want to hear more about neural networks, which underlie many artificial intelligence tools. Sergey's father told the BBC that his son got into coding when observing his older sister learning about programming. At first, we studied the material together with the children to explain the basic principles to them. After a month, our help was no longer needed, and after 2, Sergey was so carried away that he overtook everyone, he said. Do you want me to make another lesson where we read the news together? If you do, put more in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Make sure you watch it right now.